Now, we're diving into a topic that's been making waves across the globe: the shocking unraveling of Russia's military might in the Ukraine war. It's May 2025, and I'm standing here in Kyiv, where the world has witnessed a military upset that no one saw coming. On paper, back in February 2022, Russia rolled into this conflict with what looked like one of the world's most fearsome arsenals: sleek fighter jets, cutting-edge tanks, those vaunted S-400 air defense systems, precision missiles, and a reputation for electronic warfare that had analysts in awe. But as the war has ground on, something extraordinary happened. Those supposed strengths crumbled under the weight of Ukrainian resistance, poor Russian planning, shoddy logistics, and a flood of Western weaponry that turned the tide. The result? A string of battlefield failures that have not only stalled Russia's invasion, but have sent shockwaves through its global reputation as an arms supplier. Let's break it down. First, let's talk about Russia's air power, or rather, its failure to dominate the skies. You'd think with an air force boasting advanced Su-34 and Su-35 fighters, Russia would have owned the airspace from day one. They had the numbers, the tech, and the hype. But instead of seizing air superiority, Russian jets barely dared to cross into Ukrainian airspace beyond the front lines. Early on, Western analysts called their air operations anemic. Pilots were flying low, in small groups, terrified of Ukraine's Soviet-era S-300 and Buk missile systems, not to mention those portable Stinger missiles. Russia's failure to knock out Ukraine's air defenses meant their jets and helicopters were sitting ducks. Dozens of aircraft went down in the war's opening weeks. By mid-2023, open-source trackers had confirmed over 100 Russian planes and 80 helicopters lost. The mighty Russian Air Force, once a symbol of power, was reduced to lobbing unguided rockets from a distance or skimming treetops to avoid detection. Desperate moves that left them vulnerable to shoulder-fired missiles. And here's the kicker: Russia's much-hyped Su-57 stealth fighter, their so-called fifth-generation jet, barely showed up. In June 2024, Ukrainian drones hit an airbase deep in Russia and reportedly damaged one of these flagship jets on the ground. A cutting-edge plane taken out by repurposed drones. That's a humiliation that says it all. Russia's air power, far from crushing Ukraine, has been grounded by caution, losses, and an enemy using older but smarter defenses. Now let's move to the ground, where Russia's tank fleets have turned into burning graveyards. If you've seen those viral images of charred T-72s and T-90s littering Ukrainian fields, you know what I'm talking about. In the war's early months, Ukrainian infantry with Western Javelin and N-law missiles turned Russian tank columns into scrap metal. Modern Russian tanks like the T-72B3 and T-80 were no match for missiles that hit their weak top armor. A notorious design flaw called the jack-in-the-box effect made things worse. These tanks store ammo in a ring inside the turret, so one good hit often triggers a massive explosion that blows the turret sky high. This flaw, unaddressed in Russia's newer models, led to catastrophic losses. By April 2022, just 2 months in, over 530 tanks were already gone, according to British estimates. And it didn't stop there. In May 2022, a Russian battalion tried crossing a river near Bilohorivka and got obliterated. Drone footage showed 73 tanks and vehicles reduced to wreckage in one disastrous move. By the time Ukraine's counteroffensives hit in 2022, entire Russian armored units were being erased. During the Kharkiv Blitz in September 2022, Ukraine destroyed or captured hundreds of vehicles in days, including 86 tanks and 158 armored vehicles worth $670 million. Even worse for Moscow, 129 vehicles, including top-tier T-90M tanks, were abandoned intact and grabbed by Ukrainian forces. Nearly every Russian tank model, from old T-64s to the invulnerable T-90M, has been knocked out, sometimes by humble weapons like a Carl Gustaf rifle. As of early 2025, Russia's lost nearly 4,000 tanks, wiping out its pre-war fleet. Ukraine's even captured dozens to use against them. It's not just Western weapons. It's Russia's tactical blunders: tanks sent into ambushes without infantry, outdated armor, and poorly trained crews. The era of Russian tank dominance is over, and those burned-out hulks from Kyiv to Kherson prove it. Next up, Russia's air defenses and missiles, once the pride of their arsenal, have also taken a beating. The S-400 Triumph system was supposed to be an impenetrable shield, sold to countries worldwide, but in Ukraine, these systems failed to protect key assets and sometimes became targets themselves. In September 2023, Ukraine pulled off a bold strike in Crimea, using drones to blind an S-400's radar, then slamming it with Neptune cruise missiles. That $1.2 billion system was reduced to rubble. It wasn't a one-off. Another S-400 was destroyed in Crimea weeks earlier, and by late 2024, Ukraine was hitting them inside Russia itself. The S-400's reputation is in tatters. On the offensive side, Russia's precision missiles, Kalibr, Iskander, and the unstoppable Kinzhal hypersonic missile have been a letdown. US intel found that up to 60% of these missiles failed in early 2022, either malfunctioning or not detonating. That's why Russia's initial plan to cripple Ukraine's command with a missile blitz fell flat. As Ukraine got Western air defenses like Iris-T, NASAMS, and Patriot systems, the tide turned. In May 2023, Ukraine's Patriots shot down 6 Kinzhals in one night over Kyiv, a missile Putin claimed was invincible. That same month, they downed their first Kinzhal, a world first. Dozens of Kalibrs and Iranian Shahed drones are now routinely intercepted. On May 16, 2023, Russia fired 27 missiles at Kyiv, including those Kinzhals. Ukraine shot down every single one. The Patriot systems alone have taken out at least 15 Kinzhals. Russia's missile superiority, once a given, is gone, and Ukraine's skies are no longer defenseless. Logistics, that's where Russia's war machine really fell apart. You can have the best tanks and jets, but without fuel, food, and spare parts, they're useless. Early in the war, we all saw that 40-mile convoy heading for Kyiv. Then it just stopped. For days, it sat there, stuck in a traffic jam, out of gas, and picked apart by Ukrainian attacks. Russia underestimated Ukraine's resistance and overestimated its own supply chain. Fuel trucks couldn't keep up, bridges were blown, and roads clogged. British and US officials pointed to logistics and sustainment challenges as the convoy stalled. Corruption made it worse. Decades of graft left Russia's transport units with shoddy trucks and cheap Chinese tires that fell apart. Photos showed vehicles sunk in mud, abandoned because they couldn't move. One expert put it bluntly: if Russia's army was too corrupt to maintain its trucks, it was doomed to fail. HIMARS strikes in 2022 only deepened the crisis, blowing up Russian ammo depots and fuel hubs. By fall, Russian troops were short on shells, begging North Korea and Iran for supplies. Partisans and special forces kept hitting rail lines, forcing Russia to rely on vulnerable truck convoys. In war, logistics decides who wins, and Russia's supply chain has been a disaster. Electronic warfare was another area where Russia was supposed to shine, with elite units to jam drones and radios. But in Ukraine, they flopped. Early on, Russia failed to disrupt Ukrainian communications. Kyiv's military and government stayed connected via radios, satellites, and even cell phones. Meanwhile, Russian troops used unsecured phones and radios, a rookie mistake. Ukrainian intelligence intercepted these calls, pinpointing targets like a Russian general killed in March 2022 after an unsecured call. Ukraine claimed 4 generals killed early on, often thanks to Russian comms failures. One intercepted call revealed Russia's ERA encrypted radio system had collapsed, forcing troops to use regular phones. Ukraine, likely with NATO help, jammed Russia's networks, sowing chaos. Later, Russia stepped up its jamming, but Ukraine countered with Starlink, NATO radios, and frequency switches. Russia's vaunted electronic edge never materialized, and their own sloppy communications handed Ukraine a treasure trove of intel. Add to that the FSB's catastrophic misjudgment, telling Putin Ukraine would collapse quickly, and you've got a recipe for disaster. Russian spies bought their own propaganda, leaving Putin blindsided when Ukraine fought back fiercely. The cracks in Russia's military didn't stop there. They spread to its command and morale. By mid-2023, things were so bad that Russia's own Wagner Group mercenaries staged an armed mutiny. On June 24, 2023, Wagner's chief Yevgeny Prigozhin accused Russia's defense leaders of incompetence and marched on Moscow, seizing a military hub in Rostov-on-Don. For 24 hours, Russia teetered on the edge of civil war. The mutiny fizzled, but it exposed deep rifts. Prigozhin later died in a suspicious plane crash, and Wagner was dismantled, but the damage to Russia's command was done. Regular troops weren't faring better. Videos showed mobilized soldiers refusing orders, citing no training or gear. In Kharkiv in 2022, entire units fled Ukrainian advances. By late 2023, US intel reported Russian commanders executing soldiers who refused to fight or retreated, a desperate return to Soviet-style barrier troops. Russia's been cycling through generals like a revolving door, with infighting and purges further eroding leadership. Putin's public flip-flopping on war goals only added to the chaos. For the average Russian soldier, often a barely trained conscript, morale is in the gutter. Many surrender at the first chance, some even shooting themselves to escape. One soldier's intercepted call summed it up. The guys are fed up. On the flip side, Ukraine's success is a masterclass in resilience and ingenuity, amplified by Western aid. Javelins and NLAWs shredded Russian armor early on, while Turkish Bayraktar drones picked off targets with precision. The sinking of Russia's Black Sea flagship Moskva by Ukrainian missiles was a gut punch. Western intel and weapons like HIMARS, M777 howitzers, and Patriot systems gave Ukraine the edge to hit Russian supply lines and defenses hard. The Kharkiv counteroffensive in 2022 was a textbook move. Ukraine faked a southern push, then blitzed the northeast, reclaiming huge swaths of land and capturing mountains of gear. By 2023, Ukraine was fielding Patriot SAMs, Storm Shadow missiles, and Leopard 2 tanks, while special forces struck deep into Russia itself. Ukraine's decentralized command let junior officers act fast, setting up deadly ambushes. Their information war kept morale high, turning Russian mistakes into propaganda wins. A Ukrainian officer put it best. They have more guns and men, but they use them stupidly. We have fewer, but we use them smartly. Ukraine's not just surviving, it's outsmarting a giant. The fallout goes way beyond Ukraine. Russia's arms industry, once the world's second largest exporter, is in freefall. In 2021, Russia sold $14.6 billion in weapons. By 2023, that was down to $3 billion, a nearly 80% drop. Countries like India, which relied heavily on Russian gear, are pivoting to Western suppliers like the US and France. Indonesia and the Philippines cancelled Russian deals, opting for American and European jets. Even Vietnam, a loyal buyer, is eyeing US F-16s. In Africa, nations like Algeria and Egypt are hesitating, while Turkey and China swoop in with drones and cheaper gear. Why? Russia's weapons are failing the test of war. Tanks blow up, S-400s get smoked, and jets can't dominate. Sanctions and Russia's focus on its own war have choked exports, leaving buyers high and dry. The war's been a disastrous showroom for Russian arms. Every Javelin hit or Patriot intercept is free advertising for Western weapons. Russia's dropped to the third largest exporter, overtaken by France, and that gap's only growing. The world's watching, and they're not buying what Moscow's selling anymore. In short, Ukraine's battlefields have shattered the myth of Russia's military invincibility. Tanks can be stopped, missiles shot down, secrets cracked, generals killed, and soldiers driven to mutiny. For Putin, who staked so much on military clout, this is a catastrophic blow. The burnt-out wrecks from Kyiv to Kherson tell the story of a superpower humbled. And in capitals worldwide, from Delhi to Algiers, defense planners are rethinking their bets, turning away from Russia's tarnished wares. This war's not over, and Ukraine's fight is far from easy. But one thing's clear: the aura of Russian might is gone, and its collapse will reshape alliances and arsenals for years to come. Thanks for tuning in. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives like this. Stay informed, and I'll see you in the next one.